Cain and Able were the first two children born of Adam and Eve. Cain's birth is the first one recorded in Scripture, leading us to believe that Cain was Adam and Eve's firstborn. Scripture tells us, "And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived, and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord." The name Cain is based on the Hebrew root word kana, which means possession. Cain was a rebellious man who rejected God's plan, ignored God's warnings, and received God's judgment. Cain is most infamously known for being the world's first murderer. When his fruit and vegetable sacrifice was rejected by God, while his brother Abel's animal sacrifice was accepted, Cain grew angry. God warned Cain against further sin, but Cain spurned God's warning and killed his brother Abel in a field. God punished Cain by increasing his hardship and banishing him from society. But God also marked Cain in some way to protect him from being killed by revenge seekers. Cain settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden, married a sister or cousin or niece, and had descendants that are listed in the Bible to the 6th generation. Cain eventually built a city, and his descendants included nomadic herdsmen, musicians, and smiths. Abel, Adam and Eve's second-born, was a shepherd and is known for bringing God a pleasing sacrifice from the firstborn of his flock. Cain, Abel's older brother, was a worker of the ground and did not bring God a pleasing sacrifice. Cain was angry at God's displeasure and murdered Abel. In a striking picture of the need for justice, God said that Abel's blood cried out to him from the ground. As part of God's punishment on Cain, the ground would no longer yield its strength to him, and he would be a wanderer and a fugitive. After this, Adam and Eve had another son, whom they named Seth. The name sounds like the Hebrew word for appointed, because Eve said that God had appointed her another offspring to replace Abel. Seth's offspring were considered to be the righteous lineage. It was through Seth's line that Enoch and Noah, and eventually all of humankind, came from. Genesis chapter 4 tells us, "And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord." Abel had worshipped God rightly, and now Seth's family did the same. Jesus identified Abel as the world's first martyr. The book of Hebrews, chapter 11, commends Abel for his faith. By faith, Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts, and by it he, being dead, yet speaketh. Abel speaks in that he demonstrated true worship of God, and his actions remain an example of faith and righteousness. The tragic story of Cain illustrates the damaging effects of anger and jealousy. The willfulness and disobedience of Cain are alluded to in Scripture as a caution to others who might follow in his steps. And finally, 1 John warns us against a lack of brotherly love. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one and slew his brother. And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous.